Hey everybody, it is that time again. Every other Tuesday, I feel like a game show host. I don't know why it started off like that. Every other Tuesday, we get together and we just talk about business. We talk about just real life, what I've kind of dubbed "fly on the wall" conversation, and that's what this is. Dave and Charissa talk. Hashtag DAC talk. And essentially, the way I've been wording it is for the next 60 minutes. We allow anybody and everybody to be a fly on the wall as we talk about our businesses, talk about what we do throughout the week, what success looks like, what failure has looked like, because honestly, we're all just figuring this out together. Everybody is just making it up as they go. The only thing that may separate you from another person is experience. That's really ultimately what it is. And tonight, Charissa, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. I'm excited to talk about my favorite thing ever, besides words, which is our creative process. I'm so
Creative
excited.
process. Yep, well, it's an interesting topic because unlike a lot of other systems, at least for me, unlike a lot of other systems, there's not necessarily I don't like have definition. It's more of like a getting myself into a state or getting myself into the proper mood, and sometimes it takes a number of things to get there. But understanding what your creative process is and what it means for you, and what you're capable of when you establish a good creative process and are able to kind of file through, like, it's huge. It's very, very important. And I think often we waste a whole lot of time when when one of two things happens, or it's really bad if both happen. But one, if you allow yourself to be distracted, so you don't have a creative process that allows you to focus, and you become distracted by all sorts of things swiping in from the sides of your computer, coming in, beeping, buzzing, vibrating, whatever. Or two, you don't even know how to get to that place in the first place, and you just start spinning your wheels. Hope process, I guess, or hope creative. It's not established. It's just kind of you're hoping that you get to it. So let's just kickstart. I mean, since you love it, why don't you talk to me? Like, what does creative process mean to you?
It's a good question. I'm all about, obviously, I'm a writer, and so I'm all about um, allowing myself to have that connection between my brain and my hands, which sounds really woo-woo, but it's really, really true. I think so many times our logical minds and our left brains, the part of our brain that processes, things like history, things like dates, math, logic, that kind of thing, it intervenes a lot because that's how kind of the way that the world is today. But especially if you're not an incredibly creative person, your left brain really interrupts that creative cycle a lot. And so we think, okay, well, I can be creative, but only for the next 46 minutes. Or I can be creative, but then I have to do this and this and this and this. Or I can be creative, but I have to have all these colors or all these paints, or I have to have all these supplies first. And so it's really important for me to kind of short circuit that a little bit and not let the logic monster, as I so
Yeah.
lovingly refer to it, interrupt my creative process. So the creative process to me means just allowing creativity to flow through my mind, my body, in whatever form that chooses to manifest itself. For me, it's really a process of turning off that left side of my brain because logic you tends to win out as far as business goes for me. So it's hard to kind of play that a little bit. What
Yeah.
about you? What's your definition of creative process?
Yeah, sure. So I think creative process for me is, gosh, I mean, it is such a, I mean, I asked the question, but I didn't make it up. I just, this is what you talk about. But it is such a good question. Like, even talking about it, defining what that means, defining what it looks like. To me, when I think creative process, I think about all of the variables that need to be into place in order for me to create something out of nothing. So what needs to happen ahead of time in order for me to give birth to an idea and bring that idea from infancy to adulthood, maturity, things like that. And sometimes that is a process that I can do in a short span. Sometimes it takes several weeks, several months. I did my guide to Twitter, and that was that was a huge requirement of creative process that I had to do over the course of months. So really for me, creative process speaks to the value of placing variables, getting variables in line, and then allowing adequate time and space to accomplish whatever it is you've written down that you need to accomplish. So I hope that makes sense. I mean, it's a very nebulous type thing, I think, for me. You know, and it just goes to show, like, there's not a right way to do it because your approach is way different, or your definition is way different than mine. But I think ultimately what we're trying to get to is the same. You know, we're trying to get to the same entrance of the theme park. You know.
Yeah, totally. And I think no matter how someone goes about getting to be creative or being creative in their daily life or in their business or in their social circle or whatever that looks like for, you know, for whoever, the important thing is that you get there. You know, if you get there through meticulous planning, okay, awesome. If you get there through, you know, literally blocking, I have someone on my writing team that blocks off her creative time, and it's so structured, but she knows within that 2 or 3, 4 or 5 hour block, she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
And so, whereas I'm totally freeform, I'm like, oh yeah, like the muse is hitting so hard right now, like I'm gonna wipe my calendar, go do whatever I need to, you know, that kind of thing. So there are so many different ways and approaches to get to that space, but I think the important thing is that you get there, and knowing how you get there, regardless of what that looks like for other people, is really important too.
Yeah.
Not letting someone else's path dictate what you do. I mean, you can always get ideas from people, but just because someone that you admire, respect, look up to does it a different way, doesn't mean that that's the way you have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you have any examples of I mean, I've got one, and I'll share it. But do you have any examples of a recent creative time that you had where you know, kind of went through that routine? Is there something that's fresh that you're on the heels of here that you could share with us?
Yeah, it's fairly recent, and it was kind of an interesting thing because I had to kind of focus on both of those sides of my brain. So I wrote my second book in a weekend, which sounds insane, but I'm one of those people that can just churn stuff out. And so I actually went up to the mountains. I took a weekend trip. I was there for 2 days and 3 nights, and I knew while I was going there I was going to write this book. I knew I was going to release it on the day that I got home. I had all of this stuff planned out, so I had my my legwork done. I had my graphics and my illustrator, had already created my cover and all that kind of stuff beforehand. Before I had the book written, I had the cover done, and so I had all of those sort of ducks in a row, if you will, of all the logical stuff kind of behind it happening. And then I knew, okay, I'm blocking off this time in my calendar so that I can go up there and write. And some people that have looked at that system are like, wow, that's a lot of pressure. But I'm someone that works well under pressure. Like, I'm someone that's like, yeah, I have a weekend, I'm gonna get it done, and I did. It's on Nook if you want to go look at it. But I knew that I had all my stuff taken care of, so I wouldn't have that monkey mind of, oh, you forgot to do this, or oh, you have to check in with this person, or oh, you have to whatever. And this was like a year ago, but it was so instrumental in my process, just learning that if I give myself a blocked off time where that was a weekend, and know that I'm not interrupted by social media or by my staff or by my family or whatever, knowing that I could have that weekend to be able to just process and literally write a book, yeah. I could do it. And so it's really kind of a process to know how you work. I knew that I would be worried about, oh, I didn't check on this, I didn't check on that. So I relieved that block for myself and then was able to just write. And we can get into the creative part of it, but that's how I set myself up for that weekend.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I recently had one. I just recently took on a new client, and I'm writing just regular email blasts based upon kind of the ebbs and flow of their industry, and so I knew that I was this client, because it just shifts with the ebbs and flows. One day we could have nothing, the next day we got to get something out there. That's just the nature of the business. It's related to healthcare. And so if something comes out, there's a popular new report on some sort of health advice, like the doctor's office, like they have to address it very quickly. So anyways, I knew that I was going to have to write I have 3 emails that I had to write as part of a campaign just to educate their patients on, certain vaccines and things like that. And so I knew that I was going to have to do that. So basically what I did was I made sure ahead of time that I was well prepared to write about the thing. So I wasn't doing research in the middle of having to write and think creatively. I had all of that stuff done ahead of time. I had found the pieces that I needed to read. I had already read those, and I had made notes of, things that I thought were really good or that, I could expand on. I'd talked to a doctor and I'd asked him the questions that I had that I needed answers to. And so I got all of the detail stuff done ahead of time so that when I came to the time where I sat down and I opened up my, writing program. I think I shared it when we talked about top 5 tools. It's the IA Writer. I just opened that up and I just began to think, okay, what would I want to hear if I was getting this message from my doctor? Like, what would I want that to say to me? And so I got all the details done. I got away from the kids. I got, I love my wife, but I had to get away from my wife. I made sure that I had my coffee. And there's a few other things that I'll share here as we get into it. But I was able to pound out the emails very quickly because, one, I already internalized what it was that I knew I wanted to say. I wasn't deciding that in the middle of the creation process. Often I get paralysis by analysis, and it's just a thing ever. Like I start analyzing and I start, trying to decide on what I want to write, what I want to, do. Really, if I go in with a plan, have all my homework done, I'm much more effective with that space and that time that I said this is reserved to create, whatever it is, whether it's a graphic, a website, copy, whatever it is. But I get the homework done, and so that's the most recent one. But it felt really good. I mean, I knocked out like 3 emails, and I was like, score 1 for me. Now I don't have to do that later tonight. It was great.
Yeah, that is awesome. Question for you: do you find that like you require certain things to be creative? Like, not necessarily the logic side of stuff like planning, but like, are there supplies that you need, or is there an environment that suits you better?
Those are the things that I wrote down. Do you want to hear what I wrote down?
Yeah.
Okay. So I wrote down 4 rights, the 4 rights that I have to have. The first one is I have to have the right tools. I cannot create via pen and pencil. Like, I can't, pen and paper, I can't do it. I get too caught up in not wanting to make mistakes, and so, I can't do it because once you've written it down, you have to scratch it, and then your paper looks like crap. And for me, I like clean space. And if I start seeing crappy scratches all over the place, I feel like a failure. So I've got to have the right tools. For me, the right tools are all of my notes in Evernote that I've already made. Keep out of the email. I think I say this every single DAC talk, but like, I got to stay out of the email. So the right tools. Evernote with all of my notes that I've pulled from email or pulled from research. IA Writer on my computer. And then those are really the only 2 hardware tools that I use. So those are that's the first right, the right tools. The next one is the right environment. And the right environment can change. Like, it's not always the same. Sometimes being in a Starbucks feels right. Sometimes being at my house feels right, sitting on the sofa. I've got this really cool, I'll put it in show notes on my website, because I always do show notes for us, but I've got this really cool lap pad from a group called iSkelter, and for some reason, whenever I have this really awesome laptop desk on my lap, I get more creative. I don't know what it is. It's just a cool lap pad.
Magic.
So I'll just be like sitting on our bed in our bedroom with a Christmas movie on in the background, and I'll be writing. Like, that's it. So then the next right, so it's the right tools, the right environment, which that can change, the right clothes. So, I have to be comfortable. You see me all the time in a t-shirt, and that's just because I'm super comfortable in a t-shirt. And like I always, like, you can see, like, I always wear short. Like, that's the worst angle ever, but that's just me. Like, I always wear shorts because I'm more comfortable in shorts right now. Like, just long pants, I don't feel good, and so if I don't feel good, I start thinking about it, and so it's the right clothes. I have to have the right clothes. And then the last thing that I wrote down is I have to have the right inspiration, and that that doesn't mean what you may think it means. So there's multiple types of creation that I do, but I'll just use two examples. The first one is the writing example. And if I'm writing, I have to have the right inspiration. And that inspiration has to either be, it's really weird, it has to be like the lighting around me. I have to have the light, the right thing to fit the vibe, the emotion of what I'm doing, and I'll be inspired by the light. And the other thing is I have to have the right background soundtrack. If I'm doing graphics, I have to have a movie or a TV series that I know all the lines for, and that allows me to create. That it inspires me. It's just a background noise that's real life, and it inspires me. It allows me to do what I need to do. And if I have to write, then I pick movie soundtracks, and one of my favorites is the Man of Steel soundtrack. I love the Man of Steel soundtrack. It is so good, so good. And plus, I'm a Russell Crowe fan, so like I think I have a man crush on him. I'm not exactly sure what the definition of man crush is, but I think I have it. And so when I'm playing the Man of Steel soundtrack, I kind of think about Russell Crowe. It's weird, but it's okay.
Hey, you know what? The first thing, yeah, you're right. It is okay. The first thing I think, so many people that I talk to on a daily basis, they struggle so much with like feeling like they need things to be creative, or like, you know, they feel bad for needing things. Like, I don't care if you need special lighting. Like, have what you need. Have what you need to be able to produce something that's awesome. It's so much more important for me to give, you know, whoever I'm working with, or give myself that, you know, allowance of, if I want special lighting, if I want a chai, if I want my water, like whatever I want, I need to have what I have. And as weird as it sounds, I produce amazing stuff when I have what I need. So I think the first thing that's so important is finding yourself right, and not dogging yourself or needing, you know, lights or, you know, or special drinks or what. I mean, I have a friend. She doesn't work for me. She's another copywriter. She only writes copy while she's drinking wine. And I mean, if you tell her clients like, "Are you kidding me? You're drunk while you're writing for me?" And she's like, "No. I'm not drunk. I have to have a glass of wine to relax before I write." That's her thing. Like, you know, everybody has their thing, and I think it's so important to find yourself right, no matter what it is. If you need lighting, or, you know, or a special environment, or Russell Crowe, whatever you need.
Oh my gosh, I should have taken that one to my grave.
Russell Crowe. Oh my God, Russell, if you're watching, we love you.
We love you, Russell. I never thought that I'd ever say that.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah, I think maintaining environment's really big. I mean, I know that the whole clutter monster thing is really big for a lot of people, like not being able to create when there's clutter around. I'm not one of those people. I function really well if my stuff's like laid out everywhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know where everything is. I'm one of those people that's meticulous about detail, but it looks like a hot mess to everybody else. I'm like, it's okay, like I got you. But I think, you know, for me, having an environment that I'm familiar with, so you know, allowing myself to create from a space that I know very well, whether that's an electronic space, so I know my format or the site that I'm writing for, or my physical space. If I'm writing from my office, which I work out of my house, so I'm writing at home, or if I'm writing from Starbucks, things like that. But I also know to keep myself refreshed, I need to travel. I went on 10 planes in the last 11 weeks, and I have more trips planned because I have to make sure that I'm kind of scratching that itch and I'm getting new experiences. It helps keep me inspired. So I totally feel you on the inspiration thing. And actually, talking about the music thing, when you're writing with music on, there's a post that Sarah just did on House of Bliss today about writing and her Spotify playlist for when she writes copy for House of Bliss. So that's really timely, and you didn't even plan that.
I didn't even know that. That's like creative process gold right there. One of my friends, Caroline McCain, last year she put together the most amazing Christmas playlist all around the idea of Advent, and Advent is a thing in the Christian Protestant church where it's like celebrating the 5 weeks coming up to Christmas. And so all of those Christmas tunes, some of them are really recognizable, some of them aren't, but it's just so good. And she put the list on Spotify, and it's just like, it's hidden gold. Like, it's so good. It's great. You find those great playlists on Spotify, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I have a lot of writing playlists that I like, and I actually the thing that something that I really operate on as far as my creative process is feeling and desire. For me, they go really both in hand, both hand in hand. So what's my desire for the outcome? What's my desire for the time when I'm going to be creating? How do I want to feel when I'm creating? How do I want to feel when I'm done? If I'm writing for a client, how does the client want the copy to feel? I use this example a lot, but if I'm writing for a funeral home versus a daycare, the copy's going to sound a lot different. It's going to have very different emotional undertones.
I would hope so.
Yeah, right. If they sound the same, that's not good. So, I mean, the same thing's true. Are you trying to sell ice cream or are you trying to sell plants? You're going to go about it two different ways. Same thing is true with emotion. So I need to make sure that I'm tapping into how I feel. And as woo-woo as that sounds, it's really true. Do I want to write when I'm stressed out? No. Do I want to write when I can't keep my eyes open because I'm tired? No. I want to make sure that I'm getting enough sleep, that I feel really good. And so I have Spotify lists created about a lot of different emotions, really. So things that I want to feel, or things that, if my client wants to feel bright and uplifted and happy, I'll put on this, because music really does affect your mood. It totally does. Affects your product too.
Absolutely. Okay, so you talk about, so you mentioned, like, do I want to write when I'm tired? Like, no, absolutely not. So one thing that I've learned about myself is I truly do produce my best written content when it comes to the mornings. Once it goes past 1 o'clock, I don't write nearly as well as I would prior to 12 o'clock, prior to lunch. That's not the case all the time, but it's a general rule. And I mean, if you're trying to plan to be creative, a lot of times that's trying to give birth to a baby that you're not pregnant with. Like that's what government says, and I think that makes a lot of sense. But sometimes you just got to get stuff done. And so if you have to plan to be creative, like I've been planning for the morning. So one thing that was really bizarre, when I left my job in July, every single morning before we sold our house, every single morning I would wake up and I don't know what it was, but I would sit in front of my laptop at the dining room table. My kids were out, they were playing, my wife was out, she was, even talking to me. But I was able to pump out stuff that meant something to me. It wasn't for clients, but it was for my own personal blog, and I like blogging on leadership and relationship building and community and things like that. For some reason, Charissa, I was able for I don't know, 4 weeks straight, every single morning, I was able to put together a string of 200 to 400 words that really actually meant something and had significance. So I think there's seasons too where certain things will be catalytic, and so I've just had to embrace those and say, you know what, I know that this is working right now, so I'm going to go with it. And when it stops working, I'm not going to try to force it, but I'm going to realign and try to find that next thing that works. I don't know. Have you experienced anything like that?
Yeah, I think it really knows. You really have to know how you function, right? You have to know what you need. You have to know how you process. So some people hate to write. If you're watching this and you think Dave and I are nuts that we process creativity through writing, that's okay. Not everybody does. It's okay. If you process through paint or through music or through decorating or through drawing, whatever your medium is, whatever your outcome is, knowing how you function and how you process is incredibly important. So, obviously for Dave, that's knowing that writing in the morning is his focus time. And it's funny because I'm the opposite. My staff will attest to the fact that I do not get to my desk until 10 o'clock in the morning. And so for my writers on the East Coast, they're eating lunch by the time I show up to work for the day. And granted, I run 2 businesses right now, so I'm a little strapped with my time, but
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But I think knowing that I function, that I process a lot better later in the morning. If you try to call me at 6:30 in the morning and ask what I'm doing, I'm not going to be nice to you. So why would I not want to carry on a conversation and write instead? No, I don't want to do that. I know that I function a lot better at night. So I'm definitely a night owl. I'm usually up till midnight, not working, but it's just my normal schedule. And I'm definitely fortunate enough that I'm able to work for myself out of my house, so I don't have a time clock to punch in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's one of the benefits of freelance and of owning your own business and your time is that I can work when I want to. So I think that's really been a huge catalyst for me in being able to utilize my creative process and really fine-tune it is being able to have all of my time allotted to myself and to my business.
Yeah. Okay. I know that we're just 25 minutes into it, and usually we talk for between 50 and 60, but can I reveal to you my number one thing for creative process? It's the most important thing there ever is.
Yeah.
I signed up. There was a course that I took. It was a writing course, and it was $400.
Okay.
It was worth every penny, and I got all $400. I got the value of that $400 in the first video that the teacher did, and it was something that I already knew. I had, as a matter of fact, I just read a book about it.
What?
Yeah, but it was totally worth it because now I remember it and it keeps me going. The number one thing to the creative process that you got to keep doing is you just got to start.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times, we've hinted at this already, but we will get so caught up in extraneous things that that belong in the margins. It's one thing to know, that I've got to have, my Dutch Brothers on my way into work to get in that creative mode. Like, it's one thing to know that, but it's another thing to, sit in my office and look at everything and get distracted by it and get, I got to set up this hard drive, or over here I've got some cables that I need to roll up, or then to sit down in front of my keyboard and be like, the keyboard is dirty, I got to clean the keyboard, and you're always going to be able to find an excuse to avoid doing work. So the key is to just start doing it. Sometimes everything is going to be perfect, and it's great when that happens, but there are a lot of times where you've got to produce, and things just aren't perfect, and you've got to figure out a way to fight through it, and I find the best way to fight through it is to just start.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. I think so many of us are afraid of the possibility of what we can create. And I think, especially for those of us that are creative-minded, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I'll speak for myself, knowing that I'm capable of creating a lot of different things, whether that's writing or art, or even if you just take writing, so many different kinds of writing, right? Knowing that I'm capable of doing so many things can sometimes shut me down. And so it's hard to, it's almost like if you give a kid too many choices, they're paralyzed. It's like in selling. If you give the customer too many choices, they won't do anything. So your opt-ins should have one button. Little takeaway tip for you. One button on your opt-in. But I think giving yourself too many options can be really difficult. It can be paralyzing. So my my sort of go-to when that happens to myself, and I'll split this into two things. A, it's important to know your signs. Know what it looks like when you start to feel that. If you start to, like for me, I get nervous, like almost butterflies in my stomach, like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get it done, or what am I going to do, or I got to do this. Or if you get distracted, know that. Or if you avoid it, know that. Like, know what your trigger is and look it straight in the face and then do it anyway. Getting started is really, really important. Just do it. Just sit down. Like, I sound like a Nike commercial, but it's really, really true. You just have to get started. So I think not overanalyzing it's really important. Like I said, short circuiting that logic part of your brain is important. And I think if you're watching this live with us, use the hashtag, or if you're watching this recorded, leave a comment. Tell us one takeaway that one action item you guys are gonna do tonight to start your creative process. Like, I want you guys to get started. Whether it looks like cleaning your office so that you can actually think, or if it looks like go driving to Starbucks right now. It's early where I am. It's only 6:30 in Colorado. Go to Starbucks, get your coffee, come back to your office or your house or your couch or your bedroom, write or paint or dance, whatever. Tell us one thing you're going to do to set yourself up for your creative process to take shape, whether that's not actually creating or not. Tell us one thing you're going to do. If you're watching us live, use the hashtag DocTalk. It's right here. We're watching the tweets. So tell us something that you're gonna do. What's something actionable that you guys can do to jumpstart that process? I really want to know action on right now you're going to be able to use by the time we talk to you in January. I want to know what you're doing what you started today that's going to take shape then?
Okay, so Rebecca is watching, and Rebecca is also a Bliss chatter. So hey, Rebecca, so glad that you're
Hi.
watching tonight, interacting with us. And so I sent Rebecca a book. I'm very excited for her. Rebecca is a photographer. She's got big dreams. She has a lot of passion. She has a lot of talent, and I'm just so fired up for what she is going to accomplish. And one thing that I like to do, because I'm not, one, I can't give all of my time away, and two, I'm not present in all of the 50 states of the United States, obviously. So one thing that I like to do is to send people books that I think might help them and meet them where they're at. So Rebecca and I were talking, and she was talking about her dreams for her website and selling her products and things like that. And I said, where are you at? What are you starting with? And, she kind of hemming and hawing like the things that she needs to do, which is totally natural. I mean,
yeah, totally.
I know how to build websites. I know how to create videos. I know how to manage media. So I know all these different things, kind of like you were saying. I know what I'm capable of, but sometimes you just hawing like, I know I need to do this. I just don't know where to start. So I sent her a book. It's called...
I love Platform.
Have you read this book?
Yes, I love Michael Hyatt.
It's fantastic. And here's the reason why I brought this up and why I wanted to share this book. It's because the way Michael Hyatt wrote this book, he wrote it in such a way that it's all about, it says platform, get noticed in a noisy world. And the tagline is a step-by-step guide for anyone with something to say or sell. And I love it because no matter where you are in the process, you can open up this book and you can immediately find something to get started on, to spur that creative process, to let those juices flow. And just as an example, like I'm going to read to you just real quick. We're going to do a reading here, but I'm just going to read to you like, real quick, the chapters, and they're super practical, and like you may even be listening to this right now, and I will read a chapter, and you're like, that's what I need to know. You got to go buy the book because you can step right into it. You don't have to read chapter 8 in order to understand chapter 20, but like just starting off, part 1, he says start with wow. He says there's 7 different chapters that you can read. Any of them you want, you can pick them. Create a compelling product, bake in the factor of wow, how to exceed market expectations, beware of obstacles, don't settle for less than great, give your product a memorable name, wrap the wow in style. So it's just like 7 things that are just incredibly helpful to spur that creative process. And then let's see here, one more, build your home base. So home base is like your website. Focus your efforts online, beware of self-proclaimed social media experts, start a blog, create the content yourself, use a blog post template, maintain a list of post ideas, write posts faster, and create video interviews. Like that's just like 6, and there's like 6 more. But it goes through, there are, what does he have here, 60 chapters? Yeah, 60 chapters of like immediate action, creative process type stuff that will spur you and get you going. And so I sent it to Rebecca, and I know she's been reading it, and I think it's been helping her. So Rebecca, if it's helping you, like tell us what your most favorite thing is. But yeah, the book Platform by Michael Hyatt, like that is like, shoot, that's like jet fuel to your creative process, especially if you feel yourself stuck.
Yeah, he is awesome. He's so good he's one of those industry leaders that doesn't use the jargon and that doesn't talk about it like, oh, you should know what the heck I'm talking about. Like he's intimately acquainted with where your mind is when you're starting, which that happens a lot. I even find myself doing that when I'm bringing someone new on my team. I'm like, oh yeah, here's what we do. And I'm like, I have to remember, like, wait a minute, remember your story when you started? Like, remember that your brain wasn't there? Like, you have to remember that. He's so good at that. So maybe that's your action item today. Maybe your action item is going to check out Michael Hyatt. His last name is H-I-A-T-T, just so that
H-Y-A-T-T.
Oh, H-Y-A-T-T. See, I would have spelled it wrong.
See,
H-Y-A-T-T.
that's why we're here, Charissa.
Exactly, that's why we're here. And it's important to really listen to what he says. He's so, I will say this, he's very professional, but he's also really relatable. He's not one of those people that is going to talk jargon at you. He's not one of those people that's going to talk down to you. He's not going to make you feel inferior in that book or in any of his other books or in his writing or whatever on his website. He's awesome. So yeah, that's just an affirmation for Dave's endorsement for that book. I love Michael Hyatt, and I love that book.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. I've got several others. I send platform to people.
Hmm.
I think I've probably sent like, I don't know, $300 in books to people this year just because like if you want to expand your mind, like you got to open a book. That is literally the best stuff that you can get from somebody. Like everybody's all like, "Oh, Charissa, like do you mind if I sit down with you and pick your brain for an hour?" And like, I'll buy you a $5 cup of coffee, and if you just let me talk at you and you tell me what to do. But like, if I really want to know the best of what Charissa has to offer, I'm going to go straight to her website and I'm going to look at the products that she's put together because the ebooks that she's written, the email or the audio training that she's put together. I know you have Bliss Boost coming up. Like these are literally the best things that Charissa has been able to put together to allow you to quote unquote pick her brain, and that's what these books are. So I send Platform, I send Launch by Jeff Walker.
I love that book.
It's a great book. It's really good. The program is $2,000, and I paid for the program. It's a fantastic program, but like 75-80% of what he teaches in the $2,000 program is available in the $8.95 book from Amazon Kindle. So it's a great book. There's Start by John Acuff and Quit by John Acuff. And
I love John Acuff.
I got to meet him.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, last week he came out to Arizona, and I met up with him and several other people at a local barbecue joint.
Oh my gosh, look at you name dropping. I love it.
I know. He hasn't talked to me since, but he was sending out a tweet saying, "Hey, I'm going to be in Phoenix," and that was about it. And I wrote back, "Are you going to do a meetup?" And he goes, "No, I haven't found a place." I was like, "Well, here's like 6 places." So we DM'd back and forth and found a place. It was really cool. He's a great guy, but his books, Quitter and Start, they are just absolutely fantastic for anybody with a dream. So I love those.
Yeah.
Those are the 4 books that I send out to people.
That's awesome. And what a cool resource, for people to, even if you're not the one sending them to all the people that are watching this, they're able to go check those out or look at those. That's 4 actionables you guys can take right now. To start that process. I think as you were talking, all these like ping pong ideas are showing up in my brain, and one of them that I'll talk about is for those of us that are creative, or for those of us that are in creative professions, whether you're a designer, a writer, a photographer, anything that you're going to be really utilizing your creativity to make a profit, and that's the base of your business. It's really, really, really important to make sure that you have income that's coming from passive streams. And I know you're going to hear that a lot. You're going to hear that a lot from other people besides me. But talking about the products that Dave referenced that are in my shop, the reason why I created those is because I literally probably get 50 or 60 emails every week from people asking, "Hey, can I borrow your brain? Hey, can I meet you for coffee? Hey, can you email? Can you just answer this really quick question?" And you know what? I sound like a total mean person. I do, because I can't meet with everybody. I have 2 businesses, I have a family, I have a social life, I have all this stuff just like you guys do. And while I wish that I could just give away my time, 160 hours a week to everyone, I can't do it, and neither can you. And so it's really important to create products or packages or whatever, or hire assistants. Do something that is going to be able to allow you to function in your creativity without burning out, because you're going to have people that are going to want you all the time. You will. You don't think that you will, but you will. And it's so important to be able to have them be able to get to you, maybe not face-to-face or on a phone call or an IM or email, but be able to satiate their need for knowledge or your expertise without actually having to meet with them and eat your time. So just kind of tangenting a little bit off of that, I think it's really important, if you're creative, to protect that creativity by allowing, giving yourself the time to create, without having all those barriers and all those people fighting for your time.
Absolutely. So while we're still on the tangent, and then I've got 2 things to bring us back to what we were talking about. Actually, 1 thing to bring us back to where we're talking about, and 1 other tangent. I do an email every single week for people who are in communication and marketing. It's generally towards nonprofit, and it's a very niche target. But often, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a week, I'll have somebody either tweet me or email me saying, "Hey, I'm struggling in this. What would you do?" And I'm able to write back, I don't know, a 15-word email saying, "Hey, thanks so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Here's what I've written on this. Take a look. Let me know if you have any other questions, but these are my thoughts on this." And so, I spent, several hours putting together that particular email. So I just send them a link to the past email edition, and I say, if you want more like this, sign up for my e-newsletter. And so right now, that's all free. Eventually, I want to do some paid products.
Yeah.
But I've got all these resources on my blog. I think I've got like 200 plus entries on my blog, and it's like, and then like 60 emails that I've done over the last year. I just send people to those things because I've already thought about it. And when you define your niche and your target audience, which I'm starting to own more and more, Charissa, you'll find that you get the same questions over and over and over again, and you can send them to those resources. So okay, so that's finishing out that tangent. Here's the other tangent. It was so much fun, and so I really don't mean to name drop. But it really was great. Here's the picture of me. So I'm down here in the corner right here, and then John Acuff he's in the center. I don't know if you can see him there, but he's like right there. So it was great. He read us a couple lines a couple pages from his new book that's coming out. It sounds fantastic. So that's finishing up the tangent. So now getting back onto the creative process. Kyle chimed in, and Kyle, dude, I love you, man. I know you're on the East Coast. Thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us. You, my man, are a huge encouragement to me. I value you big time, and I'm super grateful that we've connected. Kyle chimes in. He says, my actionable item, I know I'm most creative if I work out in the morning, so I'm snoozing after DAC Talk early so I can fulfill my actionable. Awesome, man. I love it. Do it. Rock it out.
Way to go.
Rebecca says, let's see, creative process improvement number 1, blocking distractions. I'm so easily distracted, and I'm right there with you, Rebecca. I totally feel that. And she chimed in on the platform too. She goes, heck yeah, platform helping me. I just busted into it today, and I love that it's actionable, fresh, and concise while providing value. So yeah, I'm glad you're liking that, Rebecca. That was really a thrill for me to be able to send that to you, and I really hope that it helps you launch your platform coming out here in 2015. I'm really excited for you. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm so excited just to watch both of you, Kyle and Rebecca, just to watch you guys learn more about yourselves, learn more about your process, learn more about your creativity, and to watch that be unleashed when it's really fostered. Because I know for me, being able to foster that and protect my time and protect my space and give myself a weekend to write a book, doing those things knowing that I'm gonna have that release of creativity is so incredible. It's like a rush. There's nothing else like it, and until you experience that, you're kind of always left wanting. And so I'm so excited to see what that looks like for you guys. Keep Dave and I posted. Email us, get a hold of us on our websites. You guys know how to reach us. Let us know how it's going for you. And people that are watching, recording, comment, send us emails. Both of our websites, mine's right down here, Dave's is on his. Give us, shout out at us. Let us know what you're loving about your creative process. Let us know what you want to augment. Let us know what's difficult or what you're happy about. But I'm just, especially for you, Kyle and Rebecca, I'm so excited to watch you guys take off.
Yeah. Hey, I just got a mention from my buddy Brady Shearer. The dude is a baller. He is a creative process master. So Brady, if you are watching and you have a nugget of creative process wisdom that you want to drop, feel free to drop it, man. Just use hashtag DAC Talk. I'd love to share it, man. But I respect everything that you do. Brady has a really cool organization. He's got a company, and he puts together videos for churches who can't do video announcements on their own. And so I've actually kind of always wondered about that, what his process looks like, because every single week he has to turn out high quality, high definition, high production value videos on new content. It changes every single week. So I've always been curious about what his creative process looks like, because it's such a time-intensive craft. yet it requires an ultimate amount of creativity. So if you are listening, Brady, if you're still there, chime in. I'd love to read it. But so let's talk a little bit more about creative process. Is there anything that we haven't hit yet that you wanted to hit when it comes to this topic of creative process?
No, I know we have about 15 minutes left, and I know that just like creativity itself, this kind of topic is a little bit nebulous. You know, we can go a lot of different ways with it. So I think it's important to note, like we've said, you know who you are, know how you work, know how you function, and know what you want to create. I think having an idea of your end product, and of maybe not even who you're going to market it to, because you might be watching this and not have a creative business, but knowing if you're just painting for yourself, knowing that you're going to paint, knowing that you have a general idea of what it's going to look like, and let that be freeform enough for you to feel creative, but have an idea of where you're going, because a lot of times that can be something that prevents you from starting as well. Well, I need to be creative, but what do I do? Do I paint? Do I write? Do I write a song? Whatever. Know how you're gonna resolve that creativity, and it'll come a lot faster. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I was actually thinking, a thought came across my brain, so can I share that one real quick?
Of course.
Okay. Because I was thinking, I was just like, man, it is such a nebulous topic, and I jumped back to the beginning of the conversation before we even started talking about creativity, but we just kind of said, hey, like, we don't have it figured out. We're not the experts. Everybody figures this stuff out as they go. The only thing that separates us is the fact that maybe you have more experience than me, I have more experience than somebody else, but other than that, we're all in this thing together, and we're just making it up. And one thing that I wanted to say, and it piggybacks also on something else you said too, is like, own your, oh shoot, what did you say? I tweeted it out. It was something like, own your...
Find yourself right.
Yeah, find yourself right. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing that I really just wanted to hammer home is I don't think I'm coming to a point now. I still have to try at it, but I don't want to let anything discredit what works for me. I don't want to let anything discredit what renders good results for me. I'm always up for improving, right? And if there's a better way to do something, like, sure, I'm up for trying it. But really, I think especially, I mean, anything overall, but when it comes to creative process, like, I think everybody looks to somebody else. Oh, what tools do you use? What music do you listen to when you have this? And you start to copy somebody else's creative process. And so right here, something that I didn't mention, I have this giant whiteboard, okay? And then you can see very faintly, but you can see I have little patches of text. And basically, I had a whole bunch of ideas for what those emails that I was talking about before, what those emails should be. So I wrote down all the ideas, and then underneath I wrote down, what I could expand on those ideas, like thoughts of expansion. Do I really have enough content to write on this idea? Do I have enough to go off of? But the whiteboard is hugely, hugely helpful for me. However, I've seen people do a lot of stuff on large pieces of butcher paper or those big easels with Post-it note stuff. I can't do it on that. I wish that I could, because I think the ink looks better. I think it shows up more prettier, and it makes ideas look better. But I can't do that. So I'm not going to waste $40 on a giant Post-it note and $20 on a stupid plastic easel if I'm not going to use it. I went to Home Depot and I bought this whiteboard, and it's not erasing very well. So instead of not using it, I went out and I was like, I just got to erase. So I bought Simple Green, because I know what works for me, and I know that Simple Green will erase the board. And it's just like, look, like, nothing's going to stand in my way of doing what works for me. So you want to know, if you really want to know the way to do it, well, if you want to do it the Dave Strine way, use a whiteboard. But the truth is, you don't want to do it my way. You want to do it your way. And you want to own it, and you want to be like, look, damn it, I'm a professional, and this is what works for me. And don't compare yourself to anybody else. You're going to lose time, you're going to lose resources, you're going to lose energy when you compare yourself to somebody else. So just don't do it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think more than we even realize, and I'm someone that totally nerds out about energy and string theory and vibrational theory and all that stuff, but without getting super scientific about it, everything that we do carries a vibrational signature, and so everything is revolving around energy all the time. And what you put your attention on expands. So my favorite example of this is if you buy a yellow car, all of a sudden all you see is yellow cars, right? It just happens. So it's not that there's more yellow cars, it's that you're focused on them. The same thing will happen if you're focused on your flaws, or if you're focused on the obstacles that are preventing you from being creative, or if you're focused on, oh my God, this is how, Michael Hyatt does it, and this is how Dave does it, and this is how I don't care if you do it the way that I do it. Dave doesn't care if you do it the way that Dave does it. I want you to do it a way that is fostering your creativity, and don't judge yourself for that. Find yourself right. If you have to use a whiteboard, use a whiteboard. If you have to use a piece of paper and a pen and then type stuff up, like I have a writer that does that, do it. I want you to own your process, because that's what's going to set you free in your creativity, not replicating someone else's process that has no bearing on your heart or your desire or your feelings or anything like that. Make sure that you're doing it for yourself. That's really what's important.
Absolutely. So, we're wrapping up here. We've got, just about 10 minutes left. If anybody's watching and you have any questions or you want to chime in on anything, just use hashtag DACTalk, and would love to know your questions. We can answer them. We've got some time. And really, this is all about you. I mean, this is just us talking about what we do, and we know what we do. So if there's anything that we can illuminate and maybe help you own on your end, please let us know. Charissa, because we've kind of hit this thing on creative process, I want to turn a corner real quick. It's related to it. So with your permission, can we turn a corner?
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to know, what are you working on right now that you're really excited about?
Ooh, that is a good question. A few things. I love travel, like I said. So on a personal side, I am going to LA next month, and or as Dave calls it, law. That was a joke before we got on live. He said, Chris, it's called law. I said, okay, well, I'm going to law next month. No, I'm going to go to LA next month, and I'm really fortunate in that I've been able to partner with another company, traveling the country, talking about some awesome stuff that I really love. And so I get to do that next month, which has been awesome. That's kind of on a personal note. But on a business note, I have a training coming up that actually some people who are frequent doc talkers are in, and so I'm really excited for that. It's called Bliss Boost, and if you go to my website, which is right here, house-of-bliss.com, and /Bliss Boost, all one word, you'll see it. It's really awesome. It's a week-long intensive training that I'm basically teaching anyone that's in it how to write all the copy they'd ever need for their website. So if that's sales pages, about pages, your bios, your sales emails, it's basically everything that I teach my staff how to do in a week. And it's very intensive. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and it is 7 straight days long, but it's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. So that's something that I've put a lot of creativity into, I put a lot of hard work into, and it launches in January. It launches the 12th. It's January 12th through the 18th, and I'm really excited. It's all online, so it's a workshop that's virtual. You can get to it anywhere. It's just online, so as long as you have a computer and you make our phone call the first night, which is on Google Hangout just like this, you'll be good to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you?
I know. We talked a little bit about it. I mean, it sounds so cool, and quite honestly, it's like, man, I would love to do something like that. Like, I would love to do a workshop online like that. Maybe one day at the right time. But that's so cool. I'm so excited for you. I know you're going to do just an incredible job. I know it's something that you've been working very, very hard on. So it's going to be quite an accomplishment for you to, realize that, get through it, and then celebrate it on the end. So really good. Something that I'm really, I want to share. I asked because I want to share. Something that I'm really excited about. There's 2 things. One, I love doing photography, and I don't try to sell myself short. I think I'm actually a really good creative photographer, but I don't think that I produce a kind of image that's like purchasable stock photography. It's more like my pleasure stock photography, but I love to share it. And so I'm taking all of the photos that I've taken from, San Francisco, from England, from Phoenix, from Tempe, from Gilbert, from Nashville, from Baltimore, from Kentucky, from all of the places that I've traveled, and I'm adding a section to my website, and it's not live yet. It's going to be live in 2015, but I'm adding a section to my website where basically all of the picture packs from all of the different cities that I've gone to. I mean, we're talking hundreds of photos. I'm going to make them available for people to pretty much download for free. There's an opt-in form, and when they opt in, they immediately get a link to download. You know, some of these are like 400 megabytes worth of photos, and that's because they're all high resolution. So I'm really, really excited about that because I want to share my art. And I want to help people. I want to provide good resources that will help them communicate, you know, whatever it is they're communicating online. So I'm excited about that. That's been a lot of fun to put together and kind of make all the graphics for it. And then the other thing that I've been excited about is over the last 3 weeks I've done 2 webinars, and it's a brand new area for me. But I'm looking for opportunities to teach and to get better at teaching, to support people, and to build community. That's why I love doing DAC Talk, is because I feel like we've got our own community that but anybody's welcome. And so I've been doing webinars specifically about communications and how to communicate within an organization, primarily in the nonprofit world. And it's been so rewarding because one is something that I feel like I understand pretty thoroughly. Like I don't have to fish for ideas. It's stuff that I could just talk about, just write down a couple bullet points, and I'm good to go for the next 4 hours. So I feel like it's something that's close to my heart. But I also feel like I understand it enough to where I can get inside the where I can join the conversation that people are already having inside their heads and add real value to their lives, provide encouragement, provide inspiration, support, empowerment, things like that. And so I've done 2 of those in the last 3 weeks, and it's been so rewarding to have people say, you know, thank you so much for doing this. This was exactly what I needed. Actually, I think Kyle. Kyle was in on the one that I did earlier today, and he even shared. And this is why I love him. He's such a huge encouragement. But he says, like, your conversation today solved a problem that I was having, that I was encountering, and it was just like boom, like that. There is no greater reward than to know that, you know, what you know has helped somebody else. So those are 2 things that I'm really excited about. I'm going to be doing more webinars just because it's so much fun to meet people and to, you know, find that you're not alone. There's other people who think the same things about life that you do. So it's been great.
Yeah, it is. I love community. I mean, you know that I'm all about relationship, and our community is chatting right now. Kyle actually just said, going back a little bit to creative process, he said, find yourself right. Can you guys do a whole show on this, or did I miss that one? So Kyle, yes, I did write you back, but just in case you haven't seen your mention yet, yeah, we're going to do a show on that. That's in the works and it's coming, so don't stress over that. And then Rebecca says, hey guys, what's your favorite part of the creative process? So I know you only have a couple minutes. I'll take it and then I'll let Dave finish us out. My favorite part of the creative process is honestly when I'm actually creating. It's not the prep work. It's not the you know, clearing up my schedule. It's not the finished product even, maybe sometimes. It's the act of creating. So this happened a lot. I ran an art blog for 4.5 years that had a huge readership, and I would create art for me and I would create art for the blog. And finding the art that I created while I'm in the process of creating it and looking at it and loving what I'm doing, even if I hated the end result, I hated the way that it ended up, I hated the way that it looked when I was done, I had fun doing it. And so I think it's really important, kind of meshing those 2 comments together from you guys, it's really important to find yourself right in your process. Have fun doing it, enjoy it. If it ends up that you end up with a product that you don't like, that's okay. You had fun being creative. You had fun, you know, feeding that part of yourself, feeding that part of your brain, feeding that part of your spirit. That's so important. Even if you are not totally jazzed on or stoked on the end result, having something that you can be totally immersed in and enmeshed in and love the process, that is incredible. And that's my favorite part of the creative process.
That's a really great question. So my favorite part of the creative process is just after I've kind of initially gone, and I'm thinking specifically about writing, I will go through, I will write my pieces, I will, you know, kind of just start hammering it out, and I really enjoy that first opportunity that I go back and I reread what I've written, because I get so much joy and fulfillment out of two things. The first is finding something that I realize I can clarify. I'm like, oh, I can write this so much more clearly than I did, and I can clarify this point, or I can clarify this crux a whole lot easier right now. And so I learn stuff as I go along. I learn stuff about how to be better at writing and things like that, how to be better at articulating my thoughts. That's really fun and fulfilling. And the other part is, and this I really don't mean for this to sound cocky at all. And I think we have enough of a rapport here to where we know we're just talking life. But when I read something and I find myself agreeing with myself, and so that's when I really feel like I can't write that. I can't write that better. Wow, like I hit that. Like, golly, look at that. Like, I really did hit it. I really did say what I wanted to say, and this is going to be helpful for somebody. Like, this is going to be a transformational line for somebody at some point down the road because it was a transformational line for me. That's why I wrote it. So those are the two favorite parts of the creative process as it pertains to writing. The realizing that I can always clarify, or that I can find something that I can clarify and say better, and then agreeing with something that I've written. It's just, it feels so good.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love that because you can tell when you're in the zone. You read something back to yourself and you tell you were there, you tell you were in the zone. Getting into that zone for yourself is so important, and it's only through honoring that creative part of yourself, honoring your process, and finding yourself right that you get there. So I'm so excited to see what happens for everybody watching, and what your actionables are, and where you are taking this, and what you're going to create out of the spark that was lit for you tonight.
Absolutely. So, guys, this is the last DAC Talk for 2014. Charissa and I were looking at the calendar, and we love doing this, and we really would like to do one final one for the year. But just looking at the calendar, I think it's going to be best for us to hold off, really respect everybody's time for the holidays, and then we're going to kick back off the first week in January, the first Tuesday in January. And as I'm looking at my calendar right here, that is Tuesday, January 6th. That's going to be the next date for DAC Talk. So if you've missed any of our episodes so far, you can go to daveandcarissa.com. Down at the bottom, you'll see a hyperlink to watch previous episodes. You can get caught up. We have 6 episodes now, including this one. You can get caught up on all the DAC Talk goodness from the very beginning all the way until now. There's a lot of really good stuff. So if you haven't caught them, go back, watch. You can get your fix for the next couple weeks. We will kick back up January 6th. If you have topics like Kyle, you suggested the topic on finding yourself right. Totally, we're gonna hammer that one home. If you have other topics that you'd like for us to hit, maybe even things that you are hitting a wall in with your business. I mean, honestly, this is your opportunity to give us a topic and pick our brain for 60 minutes on a Tuesday night. So let us know. You have more than enough ways to get a hold of us. With all of this stuff going on right here. So guys, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here week in, week out, interacting with us, giving us a reason to keep doing this conversation. We love it, but we love helping people more and seeing how it is playing a role in your business and your life. So thank you. Charissa, any sign off for 2014?
Oh my gosh. Thanks for letting us have the opportunity to spend Tuesday nights with you guys. It's such an amazing thing. I totally desired to create more relationships this year, and you guys have made that possible. So super stoked for next year to be able to continue and have fun, and I can't wait. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing Tuesday nights with Dave and I. We love you, and don't hesitate to reach out. We don't bite.
Yeah, we definitely don't bite. We're sweet souls, and we will be honored to be able to do anything that we can for you. All right, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you, and we will see you in 2015.
Bye.
Bye.